heave and that'll do.
John Kanaka-Naka-Toorai.
For we're the crew to pull her through.
John Kanaka-Naka-Toorai. Toorai, oh, Toorai. John Kanaka-Naka-Toorai.
Ahar mateys, welcome to Pirate Chronicles Naval Action Episode 10, The Edge of the World. So first of all, sorry there's been such a long gap since the last episode. I actually took a bit of break from the game really. I was doing sort of RL stuff, but I have been on quite a lot over the last 2 weeks, so there is quite a lot of content to show you over the last 2 weeks. Quite a bit of PvP and some other bits and bobs. Most of that PvP is in my fur throwaway surprises, the ships that I really don't care if I lose. And I have lost a couple of them. I recorded those battles, so I shall show you those in Précis. But I really enjoyed those. You learn a lot by losing. So that goes with the message that I gave at the end of the last episode. Don't be afraid to fit up nice cheap ships. Go out in PvP. You may well lose them, like I have a couple, but if they're cheap, it really doesn't matter. They're very, very easy to replace. And every time you get in a battle and lose like that, you learn something. You get a little bit stronger. So I'm going to start off with one of those losses. I was near the KPR region. I spotted a British surprise. Now, a British surprise right outside the British capital. He's going to be very well equipped. It's very unlikely that his surprise is going to be as bad as mine, which is built purely for speed, fur. It's paper tanked, a couple of broadsides, any decent ship. It's going to be in serious trouble. So my initial instinct was to run away, and he chased me for a bit but couldn't catch me. But then I changed my mind, and I turned around and I thought, well, okay, I'll have a bit of PvP with this guy and just see what happens. I was a little bit bored, in all honesty. But it was an interesting fight in that it shows this sort of new meta, which appears to be very prevalent in naval action at the moment, and that was used on me. So it's worth just showing you briefly this battle and show the tactics that he used in his battle. However, I would reiterate, I had really no chance of winning this right from the outset, because his surprise was bound to be vastly superior to mine in terms of tank and firepower, and I was pretty low on repairs actually as well, because I'd used some in a battle previously, so not really a fight I was expecting to win. As it turns out, I did kind of happen on the opportunity to actually win it, which unfortunately I didn't take, but I'll show you that now. So his attack was quite a long way off, so the first thing I'll just turn straight toward him and go straight at him. Makes me a smaller target, waiting for those guns to load and getting nice and close. He's bound to have long cannons. Everybody carries long cannons. I've got mediums because of the speed and because I've got marines on. I want my cannons to load at a reasonable time. I'm not really fit for PvPing against another frigate in the same class, as I've explained in previous episodes. So really I want to be getting as close in as I possibly can, so any advantage I can get from medium cannons, I can make that count. Obviously if he stays away from me with his longs, then I'm going to be at a serious disadvantage. And as you can see, that's exactly what he does. He wants to kite, he wants to stay as far away from me as possible, so he can take advantage of the extra range of those long cannons. Now, the conventional wisdom is usually that I'm in the better position here in terms of the wind, because I've got the wind behind me blowing towards him. But in fact, when you're kiting off at distance and you've got longs and you're doing this exchange, you're trying to do sail damage, this is actually a disadvantage. You can see my ship is tilted forward. Now, when I turn against the wind like that, then it starts tilting the other way, and I can then hit his sails. But when I'm straight or facing the other way, the wind's blowing me too far off, tipping my ship off in the direction of towards him, so I can't get the elevation to hit his sails high up on his rigging. So very often now people are ceding giving away the conventional advantage of having the wind in their direction, because this enables them to much more easily attack your rigging, particularly with longs and ball. You can see he's sailing off to the left of me there, re-establishing that. So he was there over to let off a broadside really, really high to attack my rigging. No, his gunnery wasn't particularly brilliant there, I'm sure he wouldn't mind me saying. So he missed on that occasion. But you can see he's got a considerable advantage here in terms of hitting my sails and me hitting his. So even though his gunnery wasn't that great, the tactics he's using are sound. So even though I'm doing the odd feint, and I will let off the odd broadside against his sails if I get the opportunity, what I really need to be doing is closing the distance between us as quickly as I possibly can so as to negate this advantage. And you can see there I probably had the opportunity to let one off, but I decided against it and have turned back, go towards him, and then just concentrate on closing this distance. Of course, what this means is he's getting a lot more shots towards my sails than I'm getting with his. He's managing to turn. He's unleashing broadsides at me on both sides. In retrospect, looking at this, I should have just sailed straight at him continuously and closed this gap even quicker. But I am getting closer to him. So hopefully this kind of range, my mediums are going to start to become more effective. Now you see that last volley did quite a bit of damage to my sails, and his are hardly damaged at all. Now some people might question the wisdom of this, but what I decided to do is just get a repair off really early. So I do a repair now. I want to make sure I can close this distance, so I need good sails. He's still peckering away at the sails, but while I've got people on repair, I can keep my sails in reasonably good order and then close this distance. And of course, I may have used a repair, but then my cool down timer is already going down. So it's a hard one to judge. Some people might think I've done this too early, but I take people off sailing, so I've got the full complement repair, and that will get my sails back up into reasonably good condition, make me pretty much immune to his rigging shots at the moment, because they're going to be immediately repaired again, and this will allow me to close the gap on him, and hopefully I can start inflicting some damage on his ship, which is pretty much untouched at this point. Now you'll notice that I thought about a rigging shot, but in the end I decided to shoot his stern. Now the reason being is that I know he's going to be more heavily armoured, he's going to have heavier gun power. If it comes to a sail rigging, sail destruction war, I'm going to lose that too. My only chance really is to take that back armour off and kill his crew and try and board him. So that's what I'm going to try and do. So I'm really picking on his stern here and trying to get that stern armour stripped off as soon as I possibly can. That was a pretty good broadside I got off there. He's still going for my sails, but he missed. And my repair's now finished. But I've closed that gap, and those mediums are starting to tell now. Now I want to slow him down a bit more. I just want to take that last sliver of armour he's got off the back there. So now he's got no stern armour, and that's starting to make his crew a little bit more vulnerable. But I need to be able to close that gap, so I'm going to have to slow him down a little bit more than that. And what I'm going to think about is starting to try and kill as many crew as I possibly can. here's the point at which it goes wrong. He finally gets off a real good broadside with those longs, and he takes off my back arse now. Now that really gives me a problem now with the sails. My sails have sail power's gone right down. I've just done the repair, and this is the meta. This is what everybody's doing. Those longs absolutely lethal when they're hitting the top section of the mast, and that's what he's been doing all along. Now he didn't really connect with many of his volleys, in all honesty. It wasn't fantastic gunnery, so it just shows you don't actually need that many hits to do that. In fact, the good players will take the top of your mast off with a single broadside of long cannons, and so this is the new meta. This is what he's doing, and this gives me a big problem now, because I've done my repair, and now my sails are damaged, and he has a lot more manoeuvrability. So at this point I'm really fighting a losing battle, but I'm going to continue in my strategy and just see if I can work away at that crew. That really is my only hope. So now I've loaded chain on my right side. I really desperately need to slow him down because he's pulling away again now, so I'm never going to get a stern rake on him at this point. So my only option is to try to give him a good chain. That's not a terrible chain, but look, there we go. There he fires off his longs again. And that's another section of mast gone, so now I'm in big trouble. But that really illustrates that's what everyone's doing. He's using longs. He's not even bothering to load chain, aiming high at the top section of the sails, and one broadside can be enough to take off a whole mast section. Now it is repairable, don't get me wrong, but it's an extremely effective way of slowing down the enemy ship, and that's it seems to be the meta at the moment. That seems to be what everybody's doing. Now that continues somewhat. I've forwarded the battle on quite a bit now. You can see I managed to repair one of those masts again. All my crew must have climbed up there and got another mast section built on the top there in the heat of battle, which is pretty impressive. So I'm going a little bit faster. I've still got a lot more sail damage as he is. I'm still trying to whittle away this crew. I'm still really in big trouble. He's much more manoeuvrable. He's taken a little bit of my armour off, starting to work a bit on my armour. But here he makes a terrible mistake, and I almost have, or I have, an opportunity to win this battle. Now what's happening here is he's desperate to get. Now he's hit me once with that volley, so it's not a very good volley, but he's so much enjoying knocking the tops of my masts off that he's got himself completely in irons trying to get that last one off. He desperately turns his sails back round trying to get out of it, but he's come to a complete standstill. Now, I've already got grape loaded, and you hear I do the boarding action. Now, my intention is not to board him at all. My intention is to try and get him to do his boarding whistle, which he does. Now that gets loads of his crew on the top deck and should allow me to kill many more crew with a great stern rake there. But unfortunately, I just don't execute it properly. I wasn't straight enough. I wasn't going at the right speed. I just didn't get that right. I wasn't shooting directly at 90 degrees right down his gun decks, and that's a pretty poor return. So I really missed an opportunity to kill, potentially even hundreds of his crew. He probably didn't hit that boarding whistle fast enough to have got enough of his crew up onto the top deck to make them more vulnerable, in all honesty. And perhaps even better, what I should have done was just come to a complete standstill and try and board him there and then. I have Marines, I've no idea whether he did or not, but that would have given me a really good chance to have snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. But unfortunately I just wasn't good enough and I didn't take that opportunity. Now, I only had a few rig repairs left, in fact not even enough for a full repair at this point, so I was pretty much doomed. It took absolutely forever for him to try and finish me off, and in the end, after about 30 minutes I got a bit bored, and so in fact I actually surrendered in this battle, which I don't usually like doing, but it was just taking too long. And I did generally just have to go. But I hope this illustrates that new meta, people no longer bothering with chain at all when they've got longs loaded, aiming for that top section of the mast, which is much thinner, and with some good gunnery, you can take off the tips of those masts even with a single broadside from a surprise. And so that's something worth learning, worth practicing. I've been practicing that a little bit on AI with mediums, which is a little bit more difficult, but even with mediums against something like a trader's brig, you can take off a top section of mast in one volley. Definitely something, if you're serious about PvP, definitely a tool that you want to have in your war chest. Now, over the last 2 weeks, I've mostly been based at Mortimer Town. As you know, I've got the level 2 shipyard there now, and I built myself a white oak surprise. Now, it's very slow, no good for PvP, but it's more than capable of doing those level 5 raided missions. In fact, it does it very easily, so I can use that to get a bit of income when I need it, get the loot drops, and more importantly, it helps me grind open those slots for the surprise, which I sell quite a lot. Now, I have a spare building slot that I'm not using, and I want to use that to make a workshop at Mortimer Town. The reason I want to make a workshop is because I really want to stop using mediums for PvP. I really want to get into using long cannons. This means every time I fit a ship, I want to fit it with longs. That would be really expensive, and the whole throwaway surprise thing wouldn't really work if I was buying long cannons for each one off the market, because they would be really expensive throwaway surprises there. So I really need to get in a position where I can make my own long cannons. So that's the next plan. In the meantime, what I want to do is set up an outpost at a place, at a free port, where I'm sort of guaranteed a lot of PvP. So you see there's Mortimer. And the place I am thinking of is Lamona. Now, the reason I'm thinking Lamona, it's not too far from MT, probably get there in sort of 20 minutes, with good wind. And there's a lot of players around here, particularly around Christiansted there, the Danish capital. And then down here, I can get to the French and to the Swedes. So that seems to be a good base. Stick an outpost out there, take a couple of ships down there and a lot of repairs. And hopefully I'll operate from there and get some PvP going when I'm down there. And then not too far from MT as and when I need to go back there. So I quickly build another fur surprise to replace the one I lost down in KPR and head off to Lamona. Now, as you can see, very fortunately, I run into Trader Snow on my way down there. Now, that's really handy, actually, because I need a trader down there just so I can stick the smuggler tags on and run around and pick up various repairs and rum that I'll need from the nearby enemy ports. And I'd been away from the game so long that I hadn't realised that they've completely brought back in the capping of NPC ships below, or 5th rate and below. Now, I hadn't realised this. I really needed a trader and was banking on meeting a player so I could steal it, which is what I do. But at this point, I hadn't realised that you can simply now take traders from NPCs. Now, everybody I've spoken to pretty much universally seems to think that this is much better, and I can understand how it makes it a lot easier for new players. Personally, I'm not that happy about it, because I think before it made ships really valuable and it was worth chasing someone down and nicking their little Trader's Snow like I'm doing now, because then you had a trader and and you could go and sell it, and it gave ships more value. And And now it just seems to me that ships are just worth nothing again. You can pick up now the NPC ships you pick up, they're going to be like oak cruise space or fur cruise space, so they're not going to be quite as good as ones you can build yourself. But like I say, I'm in the minority here. I understand that, and the devs are so sort of obsessed with retaining new players. That this is the kind of thing they're bringing in to make the game a little bit easier for new players, and and I understand that. I do understand that, but personally, I'm a little bit, I'm a little bit disappointed that now you can just pick up ships anywhere, and it just seems to devalue ships in general to me. So I'm not really a big fan of it, but that's what they've done, and that's the way it is now. So as you can see, I set up the outpost there at Lamona, put this little trade of snow into the docks there. I can use that to just run around and get supplies as and when I need it. And I faff around with the snow a little bit here, but mainly I'm heading off to see if I can find some PvP. And as you can see, I pretty much straight away hit the jackpot. I run into Indefatigable. You can see that I've already whittled his crew down to 90. So he pretty much can't do anything. His sails are starting to get a bit tattered. And it's just a matter of time before I board him. Now, I'm not going to show you all this battle. You've seen it a few times before. What I would say is that, he was a newer player, so, he wasn't very experienced. But if you ever do get caught by a surprise at Indefatigable, do not try to run away. It's absolutely pointless running away because you're never going to get to run away from a surprise. And when they run away like this, it's just a real simple case of just raking the back of them, killing the crew, and then wrecking the sails, stopping it, boarding it, and it's all yours. Now, you're in a lot of trouble if you're in Indefatigable and you get caught by a surprise, but the only way that you're going to get out of it is to fight. You need to turn, you need to let off as many broadsides as you possibly can, tear up its hull, tear up its sails, and really go to town full out, all in attack. That really is the only chance that you've got of getting your ship out alive. If you run away like this, it's just making it much more easy. And I'm a little better on the all boarding thing as well, which has been a weakness of mine in the past. He's made it a lot easier by the fact that he was sailing a lot against the wind. His sails are still quite high, but I managed to get right in front of him there and straight in with the boarding game. And as I said, I don't think he's a particularly experienced player. I can't actually remember what rank he was. He wasn't the lowest rank. Oh, well, obviously he was Indefatigable. He was fully crewing it. Had he not lost crew, and he just surrenders there. So that's pretty good. Those Indefatigables, you can't cap them from NPC, so they're actually still relatively valuable ships. You can cap fifth rates, but you won't find any AIs sailing around in Indefatigables at the moment. So this is a White Oak Live Oak redeemable one, and I should be able to get, I would have thought 350,000, maybe a little bit more at Mortimer Town for Indefatigable. It might take a little while to sell, but it'll go in the end. So that's quite a nice little earner. So that's all good. Good start. So I go back to Lamona and I drop off the Indefatigable there, and when I come back out again, I notice these two pirates here, and I get chatting to them. You might have seen from the chat there, they take the piss out of my videos a little bit. It seems I'm a minor celebrity amongst the 50 or so people that actually play this game. They invite me to group kindly, and immediately upon joining the group, we see this Spanish guy here in Essex frigate and Renome. So immediately upon joining their group, we've got some PvP straight away. Now it's a pretty straightforward battle. He does actually manage to get the Renome and the frigate out of the battle instance, I think, if my memory serves me correctly. But it's a pretty straightforward capture with two surprises in the Renome just going after the Essex. You can see his sails get turned on the right too. And it all ends here in this sort of orgy of fifth rates. We eventually cap the Essex, immediately take it back to Lamona, sell it just for the the standard sell the ship price, and they immediately split all the gold 3 ways, which is nice. And then they asked me to join the clan, and I say yes. Now the reason I said yes was because as you know, I was in the crazy clan, but that kind of fizzled out. It sort of reached the end. The last few weeks when I was playing before the break I had, I was hardly seeing them online at all. It had been a long time since we'd done any PvP together, so really I was just looking for a clan that had were a little bit more active. And this clan, the Nation of Thieves, they're quite a small clan, but a lot more active. The people in the clan are on quite a lot, and they do various things. So I've been really enjoying that, and it was a good omen, I think, that immediately I joined their group here. We immediately found some PvP. So I'm now in the Nation of Thieves. Now we went down to Christianstead and had a couple of little PvP battles down there, but really stirred up the Hornet's Nest. Quite a few revenge fleets came out. The Renome was caught and sunk, and I met back up with a surprise, and we were tagged by an Endymion and a surprise. And now that was all fine. Now the Endymion did get quite a close tag. I managed to do this long cannon broadside to the top of my mast, chipped off the top of my middle mast. That would have been all fine. The Endymions are quite fast ships, but if you sail at beam reach away from them, they're actually relatively slow. And I would have got away quite easy. I hit the sail repair to move away, but the sail repair didn't work. It had 48 men designated to the repair. I definitely had repairs in the hull. And it was there, but my sails just simply didn't go up. Now, I don't know why that was happening. I don't think it's got anything to do with the fact that it was mast damage. I just think it might have been a bug. Unfortunately, I didn't record it, but I did report the bug. But anyway, if I couldn't repair my sails, I couldn't get away, and so I lost yet another of the disposable surprises down by Christianstead. But that's just a reminder there that the game is still in alpha, and there are quite a few bugs that still exist, and it's really important to report them, even if it's a real quick F11, just to let the devs know that those things are happening, and obviously they're better able to iron them out. And then the next morning I'm on comms with another of my clanmates. He's planning a little sojourn down to KPR. He's actually with another pirate from another clan. They're heading down from Mortimer Town, so I decided to go along the south coast of Haiti and meet them in La Navas. And then when we arrive in La Navas, we all group together, and we come across a Swedish player in a surprise, and he asked to join the group. Now, the Swedes are at war with the Brits, and he was on his way down to KPR to cause some trouble, and he's willing to come into comms with us, so that's all good. And so we have a Swedish surprise join us as well, and we head down towards KPR. Now, various things go on down in Jamaica, but the upshot of it is we get split up. Captain Patu, my clanmate, is chased by a British revenge fleet and tagged. We're on our way to go and join his battle, but on the way we spot another battle, and in here is a British victory. Now, unfortunately for my clanmate, that's too good an opportunity to miss. So we abandon him and go for this British victory. The comms you can hear Captain Patu with a French accent. He's bemoaning the fact that he's been attacked by a British revenge fleet, and we're cheerfully attacking this
I'm
victory.
in battle now.
He's sailing upwind. Ah, perfect. This.
Ah, fuck. Let's go. Kill him. This bastard.
The timing is perfect. No Brit will be able to join this battle.
Nice.
Will you be alright, whoever was followed in a surprise? By a surprise.
I have a treasure rig with me. Don't ask me how. Look like he's shooting the surprise as well.
So let's block him a shot.
Sorry.
I hope you can fire. We need to take turns, sailing lines, and otherwise it will be utter chaos.
Okay.
Rate. Because it's every time it gets closer to us, it's slowing down. Ah, he's on fire. Sometimes these Brits just let themselves explode because they think they can take the kill. Oh no, somebody's
Oh, Zulu, you're in my way, man. Oh, shit.
yeah, he just ate a broadside.
What's he
Speed up.
doing?
Yeah, he can't hear you.
No. He's right in my way.
I see.
Oh, now he's turning. Oh, this is getting on my nerves. Come on, man. Fucking hell. I know he can't hear, but
Yeah, he might try to explode himself. Watch out. I recommend we don't get closer. Yeah.
yeah, he's
In
gonna.
fire shock, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I'm hitting brace. That angle is disengaging too slowly. Sorry, I'm in brace. I can't do shit.
That's right. I'm in trouble here. I'm gonna catch this explosion.
Me too. All of us are.
As you can see, it did sort of turn into utter chaos. It wasn't helped by the fact that Zulu in the pirate frigate wasn't on comms. And the Victory kept putting crew on and off survival, so we would go into fire shock and then we'd get it under control again, we'd go into fire shock again, but at this point he's about to sink, so Victory is about to go down, which is quite a big moment, and that's certainly the biggest ship I've ever been involved in sinking.
Surprise is right inside of me.
You got all an assist, so it's fine.
Yeah. And so there it is, sunk first rate. Quite what the guy was doing, running missions on his own in the first rate, I don't know. And it would have been a bit better if he hadn't done the fire shot thing and had stood and fight. It would have been a lot more fun. It would certainly been a lot more fun for us, but he didn't. And there you go.
Okay, ready to leave?
Yeah, I'm ready to leave.
Okay, let's do it now.
Be careful, you don't cruise the Surprise.
we don't give a fuck about it. Okay, let's go east. 21 combat marks, 14.
And as you can probably tell there from the comms, Patu managed to escape as well, so it all ended well. And I logged out just round the bay there up from Port Morant overnight, and I came back on the next day and did a little bit more hunting down in KPR. This time I grouped up with a load of Plan B pirates that were down in the area at the time, and it wasn't long before I came across yet another Indefatigable. Now, the real eagle-eyed among you may notice something going on my ship here. I'll give you a few seconds to see if you can spot it. Yep, that's right, there's a blazing inferno coming out of the back of my ship. Now, if you also notice, though, if you look on survival there, that's showing 0 out of 0. Now, if that was showing 0 out of 8, that would be a problem, because that would mean I needed people on survival, but they weren't there, and I would soon go into fire shock, and that would be really, really bad. But because it's showing 0 0, that actually tells me that there actually isn't really a fire on my ship. There was, and they've already put it out, but for some reason the graphic hasn't updated. This means I have to continue the whole of this battle in this haze of black smoke, and I sent through another bug report. And this the guy, the British Indefatigable here, he makes the same mistake as people usually do. He just tries to run away, and it's the same old story, really.
You sink the Indefatigable.
Yeah, I capped it in the end.
Okay.
Nice.
So that's another Indefatigable capped. I took that one up to MT, so that's 2 I've got on sale now. Now that's potentially 750k, at least 500,000 I would have thought. So that's going to go a long way helping me get this workshop built so I can make these long cannons. So that worked out quite well. Now, next up was an awful lot of travelling. Now, what happened is that the rest of the guys in the clan, they moved up to Bensalem, up to the Belize area, and now they were doing some stuff there. And what they were doing is they were using sixth rates. So I decided that I was going to go up to Bensalem and join in their operations up there. Now, what I also needed to do was get that Indefatigable from Lamona up to MT to put that on sale. So I ended up sailing to Lamona. I loaded up all the stuff onto the Indefatigable, took that up to MT along with all the stuff, and then closed the port at Lamona. And then from MT, I went down to Bensalem, and there I took a surprise up there, and I temporarily used a brig because that was the only sixth rate they had on sale, and we went out hunting with the clan up around the Belize and the Salamanca area. Now, we take it up here, we're in the battle instance with a single player. Now, he had a trader's brig and 2 LGVs. Now, unfortunately, I didn't manage to record the tag, which was quite a good one, because it was myself that discovered him. I'm just in this crappy trader's brig here. Now, obviously, he wasn't too worried about me, because 2 LGVs would make absolute mincemeat of the brig. But I sort of tracked him along. Now, the other guys were all sort of scattered around. I'd only just arrived. Some of them in the bay in Salamanca. Some are further down the coast towards the south. Now, he carried on the way he was going. I sort of tracked him out of tag range. And then eventually one of the snows then came in and joined me. And then off in the distance he would have saw another snow, and at that point he realised that actually this was going to be a threat to him, and he then changed course to try and make a run for Bensalem. And then when he did that, he ran slap bang into the other 2 snows. So it was quite a good tag. It was quite funny the way it sort of the seriousness of the situation started to dawn on him as other sixth rates came appearing out of the storm. But you can see here we managed to get a good tag, and it was quite straightforward taking down those 2 LGVs and the trader's brig in the end. Hey! Took his mast off. Only the top bit.
Trade brig's empty.
So after that battle, I had to log off for the evening. A couple of the guys stayed on. They were both in snows, and they managed to cap a Bellona, which is quite an undertaking. So I wish I'd hung around for that now. So that was pretty good. The next evening, we set off again from Bensalem. This time I'd managed to get a fur surprise down to Bensalem. I'd slapped a gazelle bow figure on it, and we set off to hunt again around the Salamanca and Belize area. Now, the reason we're using the sixth rates is because they can go in the shallows, and they're particularly well suited to hanging around those shallow areas around the back of Belize, and going in through that shallow channel that leads into the Salamanca Bay, and which is a bit of a death trap for large for deep bottomed holes, but when you're in the shallow bottom hole you can escape into those shallows quite easily, so they're perfect for hunting around those shallows. And we found a little spot that's in the river near Belize there, and watching for possible targets.
But T3, he will get to the port.
Oh, that's true. He's way too quick. He's gonna get to the port.
Yeah.
It's a fucking second route.
Oh my god, we just missed the booking tour. I can't believe this.
And he's undermanned. You can't man it fully on a commodore. You have to
Oh,
figure it
yeah.
out.
Let's hope that he didn't see us.
He might not have seen us.
I doubt it, man. He's looking right at the port. He must have seen us. Like, the ones that are coming out, I understand that they don't look. We'll wait. Give him like 2 more minutes, and if he comes out, he definitely didn't see us. Q and Q.
But unfortunately for us, at least, it appears that he probably did see us. At least he didn't come back out in that buckentar. But what he didn't do was, obviously, was tell his friends in Nation Chat, which just shows the importance of intel in this game, because we didn't have to wait very long before another player came out in an Indefatigable.
So,
Let's see if he sees us.
So,
do we wait for
timer is gonna go out. Yeah, we'll wait.
do you want to wait for
Turn
the,
yourselves. Buck and Tor.
do you want to wait for the booking tower or just kill this guy's in there?
I don't know. I think we should just get what we can.
Yeah, let's get the Indy.
I mean, unless the Buck and Tor just pops up right now, I'm just gonna go for the Inda.
He's turning. Is he turning? Has he seen us?
No.
No, he's off to a mission, is he?
Yep, mission.
Yep, they're so lazy they don't even see you, so just don't move. Go on, son.
Go, boy. Jump in.
He's in.
Yeah.
Wait. Don't put your sails up.
Don't move.
Oh,
Because his timer is still on. Not the battle timer, but to be able to join the battles is still on.
he's turning.
Yeah, they'll turn around and face the port and wait.
Right, yeah.
He's a dead man.
Ah, something else has come
Buck and
out.
Tor out.
Surprise is out.
Yeah. I think that surprise actually saw us, that guy, and this guy is a bait.
Yeah.
If he doesn't join into a battle, that's a bait. Oh, he joined into battle. Let's wait for the surprise, though. The surprise is coming out as well. Let's see what the surprise does.
If the surprise goes in the battle, we'll take him on.
Alright. The NPC ships will be really helpful.
What? Oh, they're not big ships, though. There's only two of them, 140 BR.
That's fine. I mean, as long as we got some support. Because they're gonna just keep turning around, avoiding our rakes, right? So the NPC ship's gonna be around us as well. So he has a choice.
I don't think he's going
either
to battle. He's going somewhere else.
Yeah, he's heading off. Going to Belize, probably.
Should we head to this
right.
mission?
Yep. Half sails. Actually, battle sails.
Slow sails.
Okay, slow. Half sails. He's gonna be out.
We're not going to have much time to get in this battle, are we?
Oh, there's something. Trader's links. We need to get into this battle now. Go,
Full speed.
Full sails.
Let's go, 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 go.
And this is the phase array radar we saw last night. Oh my god, these guys, man. These guys.
Oh, it's going to be touch and go, this.
Just jump in as soon as you can, the battle will be close. And then we got this in there. That guy must be shouting, "They're back! They're back!"
I'm in.
Join. There we go, that works. Oh, he got you?
I boarded
Were
him.
you prepared?
Yeah, fully prepared.
Alright, perfect. All about you go for the grape shots.
Yeah.
Need to be quick because that fort is firing full broadside. I mean, you know what I mean. You know what I mean. Nice, nice, nice. What do you has?
Repairs. You got any?
Yes, please.
Do some repairs. And so yet another Indefatigable captured, and more misery for the Brits at Belize and Salamanca. And so here we are, back at Kidd's Harbour. This is the place I consider to be my naval action home. We're reaching that magic hour, so that's the end of this episode, and in fact, in all probability, the end of the entire series. It's certainly going to be the end of it as a regular thing. Well, I don't want to be too much of a tease, but you know, if I got time or discovered something new or had some really, really interesting content, and then I may pop up another. But I think you've had enough of seeing me capping Indefatigables in my surprise for now. Now, I think it's fair to say there's been a steady decline again in the player base since the Great Wipe. And the lack of players is just starting to become a problem again. We're looking at about 350, maybe 400 at peak times now on the EU server, and I understand that the global server is really suffering, and it's a real shame. I mean, I've got over 700 hours in this game now, and over the last 6 months, and I can honestly say that it's been the best 6 months of computer gaming I've ever had. It's certainly up there. And I really, really can't think of, in terms of combat mechanics, I can't think of a better game. I think it's certainly better than EVE Online in terms of the actual combat. Now, next up for the devs is this conquest rebalancing. Now, you know, I'm sure that that's needed, but I really think it could have done with some more content as well. It could have done with some more ships, more interesting missions, more interaction with the world, maybe, you know, an overhaul of the boarding mini game, better interface graphics, and working on the mechanics that allow the integration of all the 3 servers into one would seem to me to be a sensible thing. The devs are really obsessed with the retention of new players, which I understand, but I don't think they're concerned enough with providing extra content for the existing player base. Now, there are 3 new ships on the testbed at the moment, so they'll probably be introduced after the next patch and the map reset that's coming. So there are things to look forward to, and probably after this reset there'll be another sort of mini surge of players coming on. But I can't help thinking that this Naval Action Legends is where their real focus is now, and I fear that that may actually kill the open world game, which will be a real shame. So if you haven't played the proper Naval Action open world game yet, I really, really suggest you buy the game now and play it while you've still got the chance. But it's been a really interesting learning experience for me. When I look back at the first episode of this series, and I realised just how little I knew about the game, and I realised that I've come a long way since then. I'm still not great at PvP, in all honesty, but I'm getting better all the time, and I'm going to carry on playing, and I'm going to carry on fitting ships, and I'll win some and I'll lose some. I'm going to get this workshop built. I'm going to work on using the long cannons properly and hone my de-masting skills, and hopefully improve my solo PvPing. But for now, as I sail off the edge of the world, I'd just like to say to everyone, thanks very, very much for watching these videos. As you know, as I said throughout, you know, I had no intention of or no expectation of getting lots of views and having any subscribers or anything like that, and it's far exceeded my expectations, particularly considering how few people actually play this game. So thanks very much for all of you who have watched. It's been real good fun making them, and I hope you've enjoyed watching them too. And a big thank you too for the many people in Naval Action and the whole Naval Action community who've helped me play the game, have taught me about the game, you know, the good friends and the real cool people I've met, and even all the people that have sunk me. A big thank you to everyone. It's been real good fun. But I'll see you out there in the open world. Thanks very, very much for watching. I'm Hullabaloo. Aha, matey!
It's time to go now, all the way the sailing time. Get some sail upon her, haul away your halyard, haul away your halyard. 'Tis our sailing time. Get her on her course now, haul away your foresheet, haul away your foresheet. 'Tis our sailing time. Waves are surging under, all the way down channel, all the way down channel, on the